If you've ever pretended to like a boy just so you could pick on him about his one-legged mom, you better run when you hear,
"Eat my pumpkin guts, you silly f***."
Welcome back, folks, to another feature episode of Beer Me That Movie, where we turn our weirdest beer-fueled ideas into full-length feature films. I'm John, your friendly neighborhood plot weaver, and next to me is the man who once drank 12 pumpkin ales in one sitting, regretted none of it, my co-host, Harrison.
You forgot to mention that I also slept through my alarm and missed a whole day of work after that pumpkin ale bender. But hey, that's what happens when you chase greatness and bad decisions.
Speaking of bad decisions and pumpkin ales, this episode's a special one because we're taking one of last week's pumpkin ridiculous beers and turning it into the next pumpkin blockbuster.
The Pumpkin Buster. That's right. We took a wild concept from our Fast Five episode, ran it through the cinematic madness machine, which is our brains, and today we've got a fully fledged movie idea just for you.
Which, by the way, you're going to want to stick around for because this one is either going to win us an Oscar or get us banned from ever setting foot in a pumpkin patch again.
Now, before we dive in, we've got to reveal the title of today's masterpiece. John, you want to do the honors or should I?
I mean, I could, but by the way I hype things up, you'll be expecting The Godfather, and instead you're going to get, well, whatever we came up with after the last couple of beers in desperate need for inspiration.
Oh, so you're saying it's more like The Godfather, but with fewer mobsters and more pumpkin spice.
Exactly. Well, we'll get to that in a sec. First, Harrison, how are you feeling about today's feature?
I'm pumped. I'm pumpkin pumped. I'm doubly pumped. Couldn't be more pumped. We've got ridiculous character. It's a plot that makes you question reality and some truly questionable choices. It's everything we do best.
You're right. We take one of the beers from last week, Pumpkin Beer Fast Five, and we turn it into a full movie pitch today.
All right, enough chit chat. Time to break down the cinematic pumpkin spice-filled adventure of epic proportions. Without further ado, let's reveal the title of today's movie, shall we?
Buckle up, folks, because this is going to be a wild ride. Huh? You see what I did there, like with the Fast Five?
Yeah. Why don't you leave the jokes to me for the rest of this ride?
All right, but one quick little note before we dive into the cinematic madness. We don't run ads on this podcast. Why, you ask? Because we believe that the only interruptions that you should have to deal with are our questionable movie plots and Harrison's questionable life choices.
Yeah, no one wants to hear about another mattress sale while we're building a movie empire here.
Exactly. So instead of listening us push toothpaste and overpriced sunglasses, you can support us in the best way possible by hitting that subscribe button. It's free, it's easy, and it helps us keep creating these weird, fun, beer-inspired movies that your brains hopefully handle.
Yeah. Plus, it's scientifically proven that subscribing to this podcast adds at least 10% more joy to your day, and that's probably the cheapest form of happiness you'll find in America.
Right? So hit the subscribe button, follow us on social media, and let's get back to the good stuff, Harrison. Where do we pick up on this pumpkin journey?
Yes, so we pick up, as always, with a quick kind of recap of where we got to last week on last week's Fast Five. So this beer, Pumpkinhead, hey, I think Pumpkinhead Ale is the full beer from Shipyard, given to us by Tom, submitted right to us, which you can do by sending us messages on Instagram or replying to the posts I do every week that say, hey, what crazy beer did you have last weekend? It happened. Tom submitted. Tom, we're doing your beer. We're going to talk about you a lot tonight, Tom. Pumpkinhead. So kind of last week, this was fun. It was the first one we did, and we basically kind of went back and forth a little bit and kind of landed on a retelling, a reimagining of the classic kind of Headless Horseman story, but not in the late 1700s or early 1800s, but taking place in present day, where we have a kid who's from the other side of the tracks, bullied, something horrible happens to him, and he comes back as a pumpkin-headed, supernatural beast that exacts his revenge on his bullies. And That's basically what we got to in the Fast Five, and now, as always, we get to flesh that
I
story.
maybe I should
I
take the
know
jokes back.
Figure this one out.
You gotta plant the seed.
Oh,
okay.
boy, pie on my face. All right, butter in your shoes, egg in your hat. Hopefully, no chloricons tonight, but maybe
Egg in
something.
that's the worst
Maybe
one.
something similar. It really depends. The kind of egg you get is based on the kind of chloricon you have. You hope for hard boiled. Fresh. Okay. So yeah, that's what we have so far.
So give me a little. Okay, so give me the kind of the lay of the land, if you will. We know Tom is. We're gonna stick with the theme. He's a prep school kid.
Yeah.
Kind of an outsider.
right.
Tell me a little bit. Help me understand. Help me picture Tom.
Yeah. So I think Tom is exactly. He's going to like a preppy kind of private school. But that is not Tom's vibe. He's like I think you said this in the Fast Five, got like a scholarship to go there. Maybe it's like well, every year we take in a few kids from the other side of town to do as a tax write-off or whatever the school is doing to make this happen. Or I think maybe you also said this, or we kind of alluded to it. Maybe he like got it on like a science scholarship, something like that. Like his kind of academics got him in there. But it's very clear that his life is not the same as all the kind of motorcycle driving, private car, private driver having preppy kids he goes to school with who have, born with a silver spoon in their mouth and have no worries and therefore more time to pick on people like Tom, who's looking at this as like, what a great opportunity. This is the best school in the county. I have all these dreams. I want to change the world. And he's got to deal with all these jerks to try to save the planet.
So you can either get really good grades, be 7 foot tall and slam dunk from the half court line,
yes,
or you can be born into a family fortunate enough to send you to
dad's
a private
senator.
School. Those are like the three ways that you can go to a private school in America, as I understand it. I like the idea that he's a nerdy, sciencey, smart kid. Tell me about Tom's science. How did that get him into this prep school?
Yeah.
What's he doing with it here?
Let's go for that. And I think let's just say chemistry. Let's just say chemistry. It's like what he focuses on, what he's good at. And maybe it comes from like a really deep place where, like, looking at Tom's backstory, some accident happened to his mom or she can't work anymore. Maybe she lost a limb, some horrible accident. And so he's been all into like the new kind of CRISPR gene editing, regen technology that in science it's happening now. And he's like, I want to do this. I can crack the code. I can figure it out and make my mom's life better. And maybe like to keep painting Tom's backstory a little bit, this accident happened to his mom and like obviously fundamentally changed his life in some obvious ways, where you have a parent who's no longer working and stuff through this horrible accident, but also like maybe it really sends her down like an understandably depressive spiral. So now like this kind of nice life that he had as a kid just gets taken away from him immediately in some horrible accident that happened to his mom. And he doesn't say this to anyone. But like that's a big driver too, is he kind of is trying through this science to like get his life back and return to the happy, golden days of his youth that he thinks will just show back up if he can solve this problem for his mom and learn how to grow limbs back. So like that obviously gets the school's attention. It's like, well, this kid seems, let's get him under our wing so we can put our name next to whatever he publishes and get more money.
Okay, so I like this because it already feels like a movie. Like, you got this kid science fit. I mean, it's to your point, CRISPR is real. It's a thing that's happening in gene therapy. When I was in high school, I did a science fair project on you could change your kids' genes and they would have red hair.
Right.
I did it with stained glass
Okay.
and like moving pieces of genes around because it wasn't really possible then, but it stands to reason, especially at this private school, he would have access to some of that technology.
Yeah.
Is that something that I like? How does does Tom just like do it on his own, kind of quietly in the shadows while trying to get A's everywhere?
I think he probably has, I'm sure he has mentors, maybe a few kind of lab partners that are also kind of cheering Tom on. So he has a small group of, sure, we'll call them, nerdy folks, smart folks, that are helping him. But that doesn't do him any favors with the rest of the school, the cool kids,
In fact, it's probably working against him.
Definitely puts a target on his back when the teacher's like, Tom did a great thing. Oh, why'd you say that? Now my life is miserable. Right.
Tell him I forgot to turn it in.
I'll just like, I'll go dunk my head in the toilet right now because some kid's going to do it to me in a minute just because I got a good grade on this test. So he's, succeeding, but as would happen in high school for horrible karma, maybe laden reasons, doing well and getting great grades sometimes means you get a knuckle sandwich or hung up in someone's locker. And that doesn't make any sense then, and it kind of makes a little more sense later in your life. But
that's a good.
Why is this happening?
Why do we do that? Maybe, and honestly, it's been a while since I've been to school. Maybe it's different now.
I think it is. I hope it is.
You're probably right. Like nerds were nerds when I was in school. Now they are billionaires.
Right, exactly right. They're inventing new crypto technology and buying houses with made up coins.
Boats full of girls.
Yeah.
Money is always going to be more important than a good jump shot. But
eventually.
So is it too early to, I want to ask then about like, Tom's working on this. He's inspired. His dream is like to create something that'll help his mom grow her leg back or fix, like go back to when things were better for him. Probably part of the reason he's so not well off and
absolutely
can't, like, he's not even wearing like cool clothes to school. Maybe he just wears like the school uniform every day.
That's it. And clearly it's not, it's faded and just a little more disheveled because he's also kind of like a mini mad scientist about like always preoccupied with his lab work. He's the guy who shuts his own jacket in the car doors. He's trying to walk out and doesn't realize it's pulled his jacket off and his book bag on the ground until he gets halfway into the building. So a little bit in the clouds.
I'm thinking almost like Rick Moranis.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, right, exactly. Just with a trail of papers falling out behind him as he's trying to chase down the dean to talk about this new idea. But no, the school wants him there. But again, that makes other kids jealous, and one of them in particular, good old Ichabod, who's let's go basketball, or the captain of the basketball team, used to having the eye of the dean and being on the front page of all the papers and stuff. Maybe starts to hear this new Tom kid, like he's going to be on the front of the next paper. We're moving you to the back page, Ichabod, and you're dunking. Right, nobody questions it or thinks it's weird. Why is he not getting punched in the head?
Not a very popular name, but
it'll come back
for a retelling of sort of Sleepy Hollow-esque.
Right, has to be in here.
I love that his name is Ichabod.
Right, maybe they call him the Bod.
Oh,
don't say my real name. You say my real name.
He definitely did. The Bod is gonna dunk all over you. Stallions, go Stallions!
Go Stallions!
Ichabod's like girlfriend. Yeah, does the horse noise for him.
Great horse noises on that girl. Oh my god.
She's gonna be a trad wife. He's gonna be an insurance salesman.
Yeah, exactly right.
They're gonna do fine.
Skimming off the top if they make it. So okay. So this tries to draw again unwanted attention to Tom. Ichabod and his kind of crony bully friends just start to make his life a little miserable and distract Tom from his goal. So he's got to kind of deal with that every day. And that's probably could be where the story even starts. It's like him, getting out of his beat up old car, trying to put the door back on as it falls off. While Ichabod and his buddies smack the papers down on the ground, pull his glasses off. We give him a wedgie, whatever. Imagine some scene from Grease or Back to the Future where the cool kids pick on the not cool kid.
I like that they're on motorcycles too, because that's
awesome.
I love motorcycles, but in an 80s movie, it also means
Sure.
you're kind of a douche.
Yep, it's a good sign, right, that you're kind of a jerk.
It's an example of show don't tell, and in this
Yes,
case, we're showing you a lot of the bod and his
that's right.
his
The
crew of
bod.
friends.
The
And
bod.
so, what is the experiment the Ichabod is working? Maybe he's even got like some tests, or he's like run some
Yeah.
things in the school, and like tell me about what has he made so far? Has he done anything so far?
Right. I think he's like right at the cusp, and that could be like an interesting moment, maybe after like, Ichabod and his buddies are trying to do what they always do on this morning where a story starts, Halloween morning, where or maybe the day before, but we'll see where how time works the next couple of minutes as we run through this. But either the day before or the day of Halloween, gets to school and they're trying to distract him, throwing the papers and grabbing his book bag, and he's unfazed, clearly a little more determined maybe than normal as he heads towards the lab. And maybe Ichabod says to, crony number one, like, what gives? This kid, like, he's gonna flake out. We'll be bored of him soon when he does nothing. But he really seemed determined today to get in there. Maybe his buddy says that, and Ichabod, the bod's like, whatever, let's go shoot some hoops, and walks away.
Make sure you let the air out of one of his tires.
But he's getting under. There you go. He's getting under. Ichabod is getting under Tom is getting under the bod's skin a bit just by kind of not letting him bug him. And so maybe that's kind of one of the first scenes too, as we jump into the lab and there's Tom. Should there be a girl that clearly has a crush on him that he's oblivious about?
No.
Okay,
No.
got it. No girl for Tom. Just gets right in, has his teacher there, who was like, all right, what do you got today? You seemed kind of excited when you sent me that message this morning that you might have had a breakthrough. And that's how it kind of all begins, and gives a little backstory we already have about like, well, as you guys know, regenerative technology, blah, blah, blah. And they use like an apple as an example. He's got like a serum that he maybe pulls out of his coat or pulls out of like a beaker in the lab, and like injects it into the apple, and then pulls out like a big knife and chops it in half. And everyone kind of sits there with the expectation being the apple's going to pull itself back together. And maybe like kind of nothing happens. And then after a couple of minutes, people are like, well, back to the drawing board, Tom. And Tom's kind of like, thought it would work. And as people start to leave and Tom's down on his, just kind of bummed out, the apple maybe wiggles, and he's the only one that sees it. Like, and he's like, oh,
a little bit of skin.
Exactly. Like a little bit. Right. And he looks at it, he's like, was that there a second ago? Did they get closer? Is it trying? Did it almost work? And at that point, the bell rings, class is over. He's got to get going, but he has the thought of like, my gosh, I was closer than anyone here realized, but I can't come back with another failure. I got to work on this in my basement lab, and really be sure this time.
Instead of beakers, I have washed out jelly jars and
right, exactly,
pickle containers and stuff. But it can happen. This is a movie.
I can figure it out.
Harrison and I know we did a lot of research about science.
That's
in
right.
The 5 minutes between the Fast Five and this filming.
Yep. Having a basement lab will never get you raided by the police. They'll always assume it's for good natural science.
I love this as an opening scene. So it kind of introduces us right away to Tom, his plight, the thing he's trying to work on, a tinge of some success maybe, but then we go back to after that bell rings, and now we're in school with Tom.
Right.
So you said maybe it's the morning, it's Halloween day, or
I think that works.
We can workshop that.
Yeah.
And when I was in high school, every day was like, you want to have a party, you want to have a bonfire afterwards.
Right.
Certainly for Halloween, there's probably a lot of kids that are half paying attention. Everybody's talking about parties, and it's even harder for Tom to navigate the school with all this. The private school might not function like this, but in this movie, it's just
for
bro,
sure.
I'll see you tonight, bro.
Right,
I'm
everyone's
everything but lunch today.
That's it. That's right. I like that. And I think maybe because Tom kind of ignored the bod's attempts at bullying him that morning, maybe Ichabod now is like, all right, we got to go nuclear on this guy. Like, I don't feel fulfilled unless Tom is on the ground, upset every day. And today it didn't happen. You know what, guys? Let's invite him to the party and really screw with him. So, like, they're going to take it to the next level because Tom is becoming immune to their little kind of bullying they do during the day at school. they're gonna take it up a notch and invite Tom to this really cool party they're gonna have with all the cool kids, and maybe Ichabod's like kind of girlfriend or one of the girls in the cool kid group who really wants to be in the cool kid group offers to like go up to Tom and invite him to the party, and maybe they even
Nice.
play into it of like, heard you had a great day in the lab today, and they're trying not to laugh or whatever, and Tom's like, well, I think I got closer actually than we've ever had before. It is a big day, even though Professor so-and-so didn't think so.
I know we've been hard on you, Tom,
Right.
and it's Halloween and we're almost at seniors now, so maybe you could come with me, like almost as my date to the Halloween party tonight. Are you doing anything tonight?
Oh,
I like sending the girl as a Trojan horse.
oh
here.
yeah. Yeah, but that'll catch him off guard, and what is he gonna say? Never been asked this question before. And maybe he's, just in the excitement of like the apple moved, I'm close. He's just kind of like, this is my day, and just not thinking through this very well because his head's still in the lab. Yeah, how do I? Yeah, can I bring anything? And they laugh like, bring anything? No, just you show up with try to be as cool as possible. Maybe one of the other crony guys says that. I'm like, shut up, don't just be yourself, Tom, and be at the Bod's house at 8:15, and get ready to have a night you'll never forget. And they kind of chuckle ominously as they all slowly back away from Tom, and he, for some reason, does not think that's weird.
Well, Tom, we've introduced this passion to become a gene editor and fix his mom, but nothing at this age and stage in your life motivates you more than being accepted by especially the cool kids.
Exactly.
So I think it's reasonable to believe he'd wanna go to this party, and like maybe throughout the rest of the school day, are the kids like sort nicer to him, or just they don't bully him as much?
Maybe, yeah, exactly. Don't bully him as much. Maybe wave to him in the hall or something, because the Bod's like, we got to sell this. Remember, nothing more to Tom today.
I need him tonight. I need to ruin him tonight.
He's really interested in Tom.
Alive.
Right. Right. All right. Helping glue doesn't work anymore. I got to be pushing Tom in the dirt. I'd be really making his life miserable. He stole my front page articles. I want to be on the front page again. Tom's got to go. Or whatever kind of ridiculous, convoluted thing in dumb Ichabod's head he's got worked up about. And yeah, but I think sure, the rest of the day they're a little nicer to him, but like kind of towards the end of the day, Tom's probably like, oh crap, I gotta go. The party's at 8. I need to get home. I got 2 or 3 more iterations of this serum I want to try and try to get this done so tomorrow I can come into school and show everybody that I was just a step away. So I don't want to get distracted by the party. I got to finish my work. It's like, I'm so close. I'll get to the party, but I got to get home first. And so like, that's his plan, to rush home and continue tinkering in his fun, pickle jar filled lab in the basement to figure out this regenerative serum as quick as possible.
So somewhere in here, he probably has some sort of revelation about it's something I used plant protein synthesis when I should have used animal protein synthesis or whatever.
Yes, we'll science it up.
And he's able to make that work in his basement lab, like take the serum that he made in school and make a quick touch.
Exactly.
It can't be that simple. I'm
we can have
I'm
a
being
fun
a Ruly Julie here,
right.
But it can't be that simple where he just does it and then he wins and he can regrow limbs and he's a cool kid at the party. So
no, I think not. I think he's trying kind of, and it could be a fun little montage of like drops the thing in the beaker, it turns purple, and he pours a little bit on. Maybe he has like 4 or 5. How about this? He has like 4 or 5 apples in the basement, and he drops it on one, and it blows up. And back to the next one. Drops something in the beaker, turns red. Pours on the apple, and it melts into the ground. So he like tries all these versions, and then he has that eureka moment of like the plant protein, the ammonia synthesis. By gosh, Einstein would turn over in his grave. I'm so dumb, and like. For some reason, a physicist would care about his chemistry, but anyway, you get it. We'll Fritz Haber would turn over in his
Someone.
grave. Yeah,
Bill Nye.
Bill Nye, if he was dead. And so, but he's out of apples, and so he's kind of like panicking a little bit, and he's like, what do I do? And then it's like, oh, and runs back out to his front porch. There's a pumpkin sitting there, of course, uncarved, just hanging out, because who's got time to carve when the mom's hurt and he's working overtime to just kind of keep things moving in the house. Grabs the pumpkin, runs out of the basement, and is about to dump the syrup, and he's like, wait a second, this pumpkin's like 4 or 5 times as big as the apple. I gotta up the dose. So he like quickly distills a stronger, more potent syrup, and dumps, like puts that in a syringe, shoots it into the pumpkin. And he kind of sits there, doesn't explode, doesn't melt. And he picks up his huge butcher knife that he has, or steak knife. And it's like, all right, this is it for all the potatoes or whatever, for all the.
You might say potatoes, though.
Right. And then, slices the pumpkin, falls in half, and nothing happens for a minute. And he's like, son of a gun. And then it regrows, it rejoins itself. You kind of see the little pumpkin hairs start wiggling and pull back together. And this pumpkin that he just chopped in half reconnects. He's done it. He's figured it out.
So he does find a way to make this serum that works on pumpkins, at least.
100%.
Tell me, how does this make Tom feel or react? He's got invited to the party.
Exactly.
He's just
and
made
I think
a big step.
Right. I think
he
like
injected it himself.
Right. No, I don't think. Right. He's just like, this is
Mom, here.
Here, try this for me. Oh my gosh, my mom was a pumpkin on her leg. So right. I don't think he does anything like that. I think almost literally what happens is this happens. He sees the pumpkin resale itself. He like jumps up of like, oh my gosh, I've got it. It's everything written down. I can replicate this. And then his phone alarm goes off, and it's like 7:45, and he's like, oh my God, I have the party. Like, this is the best day of my life. I figured this out. I'm gonna go celebrate. And like I don't have a costume. Maybe I'll just bring the pumpkin. Like, whatever. Like, this is cool. I said, be as cool as possible. This is the coolest thing I've ever done. I can tell everyone about it at the party. I can cut it in half in front of the whole party, and it'll grow back together, and they'll invite me to every single party after. He's got kind of like a diluted, right.
This is gonna
approach of like, everyone think this is awesome.
I mean, Tom thinks it's the greatest thing in the world.
And of course, and it is, but again, high school people, maybe not, but Tom just doesn't quite, again, put all that together, and the excitement and the pressure of the time. I got to get out of the house. He just kind of grabs it, kisses his mom.
I do object subtly, though.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm doing it out loud. I think, Tom, you probably don't wear a costume to a high school Halloween party, but I think Tom is like, you know what? I'm going for it tonight. And he grabs like the Halloween costume he wore when he was a kid, maybe like a scarecrow or something.
Okay.
It's not perfectly fitting, but he's like, I'm going all out. And he like shoves some hay in his overalls or something, and he grabs his pumpkin.
Okay.
I want the true nerd of Tom to show up to his Halloween costume party in costume.
Yes. And maybe that's right. He assumes it's a costume party, because last time party he went to was when he was 8.
Yeah. Yes.
And he's like,
back when his mom had her leg
Right.
and she was working and things were great.
Right. They weren't right. Yeah. Down on their luck. So I like that. And he's like, sure. The scarecrow. I'm halfway down the yellow brick road myself. Perfect costume.
Going to meet my Dorothy.
Right. Exactly. Maybe I'll find her tonight. I hope she likes pumpkins that regrow themselves. Sweet, sweet Tom.
She's going to be so impressed. So alarm's going off. He's got to get to the party. Tell me, is a man who's lived through high school,
Yes.
Maybe a little bit like Tom, maybe not at all. I don't know if you were a jock or a nerd or in between, but what is it like? So Tom drives out to the party. He's on cloud 9.
Yes.
What's it like when he shows up there?
I'm imagining classic. Well, the parties that I grew up in, just let's say it's on the Bod's property, maybe like in a barn in the back 40, but cars parked in the field, people making out in the hoods of cars, red Solo cups everywhere, a bonfire here, some kind of weird wooden structure in the shadows, kind of off to the left of the barn. And a bunch of people in the barn, music happening, people dancing, drinking, jumping around, having a gay old high school party time. And he's a bit overwhelmed, grabs his pumpkin, starts hoofing it through the field, doing nerdy, hey, how's it going? Trying to talk to people making out. Get the heck out of here, you weirdo. Right. Okay, just right here, me and my pumpkin. Loves his pumpkin. And maybe someone tries to grab it, some drunk guy, oh, hey, what you got there? Brought your own little jack-o'-lantern kid? And Tom dodges that guy. What the heck? This is more than just a pumpkin. This could change the world. Well, whatever. Blah, and throws up on the hood of his car. So Tom's navigating just a bunch of idiots in the field to try to find maybe that girl that invited him, because he's got starry eyes and completely oblivious to the fact that he's most likely being set up for something embarrassing. And yeah, so that's kind of the scene. It gets to the barn. Maybe she waves him over, or she's near the bonfire or whatever, and the Bond's in the background with like, I don't know why, like a leather jacket, but no shirt.
Yep. The Bond is sort of in costume,
right,
but
yeah,
he's in
right.
whatever the high school male equivalent of hot police officer is.
Right. It's like someone stopped in the middle of a striptease.
And I like, so let me just confirm.
Yeah.
My assumption is that this is a setup.
Oh yeah.
And Tom's good. Okay. So I want then, what I want to happen is the girl who invited him. She's like, oh, hey, Tom. She's, I'm so glad you made it. I wanted to kind of catch up and learn a little bit about you. Let's go someplace where we can talk in private.
Right. Put that weird pumpkin down. Yeah. No, I'll bring it.
That's part of my costume. You're going to love this.
Okay.
And I think this is, so Tom gets to the party, you set it up. Nothing has really gone wrong. It's just a typical high school party. It's new to Tom.
Yes.
But and then the girl brings him back and she's talking and she's like, so tell me about, why, how did you get to the school? How come you drive that old car? Oh,
right.
My mom can't work. She lost her leg. Oh my God. Like, can't your maid do it? No.
Right.
Like, so he's like kind of opening up to this girl as she's asking him questions and learning. And I want the audience to kind of feel like, great, we're making some progress here.
Right.
And Tom opens up and we see this conversation happening and she's like, all right, you know what? Like, I think we should have a drink. We should have a fun time tonight. I'm going to go grab us some drinks. You hang out here. And then the camera leaves Tom and follows her back to the bod. And she's like, Tom's mom only has one leg. She doesn't even work. He didn't even know what a maid was.
Right.
So she like spills all of Tom's tea. And then as he comes back to the party, I think everyone's like kind of laughing about that, maybe making jokes about it.
Yes.
And, like, so I want the intro to the party to be like uplifting, like, okay, maybe we have turned a corner.
Right.
And then shortly after we learn, like, maybe Tom doesn't learn yet, but
yeah, not yet, maybe,
that we're in for a night. So I think that's a soft opening to one prank.
I like that.
There's probably going to be a couple more. I'll ask your help.
Yeah, there could even be, and stop me if we want to go a different way here, but there could even be like maybe one of the kind of nameless crony bully guys kind of comes up to Tom and was like, hey, if I knew your mom was so beat up, I wouldn't give you as many swirlies as I did. No hard feelings, right? And Tom's like, how do you know about my mom? Like, who told you? And the swirlies? So that doesn't happen at the party, but we know that, like, all right, Tom used to get dunked in the toilet and his head flushed. So that sucks. And this girl's spreading the kind of information about him without his consent around this party. But yeah, we need like at least one other rank that could happen. They could, oh my gosh, I mean, we could do all kinds of things. I think one of them, I don't know if it's the same girl does it or somebody else, but I think the one that really does Tom in is like some kind of spiked pumpkin punch, where like maybe Tom's kind of looking around and so how did he know about my mom? And then kind of looks around the fire and people are whispering and looking at Tom and pointing at him, maybe not very discreetly. He's like, what the heck's happening? And again, someone comes up to him and is like, hey kid, I know sometimes these parties can be weird the first time you come. Have some pumpkin punch. And Tom's like, oh, I love
pumpkin.
punch. I love pumpkins. I have one right here. Have I told you about how special this pumpkin is? Yeah, drink this. And it's obviously more than punch. And he starts to feel a little goofy. We could squeeze another
Bubble
prank
guts,
in.
kind
Yeah,
of.
bubble
And I
guts for
like-
sure.
Because I have a plan for these pranks.
I know you do.
So I like that it's a different kid. One of the cronies gives him the we'll say laxative punch or something.
Yeah, but it's also going to kind of knock him out, I think, in a minute.
He starts getting a little wheezy.
Yes,
yep.
definitely.
The party that was like once chaos, people in the where the parked cars were making out and stuff.
Yeah.
We've kind of focused the movie now on like Tom's party, where it's most of these cronies now. He's been kind of misled by the girl who invited him here, and now he's getting picked on about his home life and his mom.
Yep.
He got a spiked drink.
Yep. Swirly guy.
One of the kids like, Tom, you're not looking so good, and starts to like unravel his costume or something.
Okay.
And like Tom's like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden he's like down to his boxers holding the pumpkin,
tripping over his scarecrow pants.
And it's kind of hard to do this with like just me and you talking through the movie.
No, I see that. I like that.
But it grows to a louder and louder like prank, and now the whole it's almost like circling around Tom, and everyone's like laughing at him, and Ichabod hasn't done a prank yet.
Right. And I think as Tom's kind of getting woozy and tripping over his scarecrow pants and having a horrible time, but kind of oblivious because of the drugs and the pumpkin punch, Ichabod sneaks away and is like, I gotta finish up the last little bit, but as soon as he passes out, bring him over to me, you know where. And he sneaks around the other side of the barn towards that kind of shadowy wooden structure we saw as Tom walked in. And then it goes back to Tom, and people are kind of circling and laughing, and he's kind of like, I don't feel very good at all, and maybe just like throws up and passes out. And he could, like, as he falls down, maybe like his pumpkin falls and cracks too, and Tom, in kind of his delirium, is like, my pumpkin, no. And then it's just darkness,
blackness,
right? Yep. Like, he really loves this pumpkin. What a weirdo. And I think he like comes to, still dazed and out of it, kind of basically in like what looks like the stockades almost, with his hands and his head in at a wooden stockade looking thing, and people are surrounding him, they're laughing again, and maybe people are coming up next to him and like taking selfies with him and like laughing in his face, and
really tight shot in on Tom, like kind of you see him just strapped in.
Exactly. And they're and yeah, so now he's still out of it, but it's obviously very clear to the audience that like this is a big elaborate series of pranks, and all was supposed to lead up to this big one where now people are taking pictures with Tom disheveled, pants around his ankles, in the middle of this party, locked in these old stocks, and then you see kind of the bod sitting behind him, and maybe like on top of what looks like just a stockade, which now you see is like an old school guillotine, and maybe like someone runs in and it's like, all right, the bod, you've had your fun, like this is crazy, and they like, shut up, Susie, like there's nothing to worry about, as long as I don't touch that lever, this guillotine's gonna do nothing. We're just gonna freak him out. Bob's gonna play the guillotine noise on his phone right next to Tom's head. He's gonna scream and poop his pants, and then we'll go back to the party. Like, you know how this goes.
I just need him to poop his pants.
That's all I need it.
Put that on the front page. Poopy pants Tom. Pumpkin fucker. Sorry you submitted this beer, Tom.
Exactly right. Yeah, the bod is really has a lot of problems. So, and he's trying to figure it out. Well, he's just coming to those problems. And so that's all happening. And I think like, so this is where things can get pretty wild. And Tom is maybe like, right, okay, coming to, looking around, sees the people, the pictures, he starts crying, he looks over, sees his pumpkin cracked in half in the, a couple feet away. He's like, oh my God, why did this happen? And gets like really, really sad. And it could be, I don't really need to do this, but like maybe the bod has like a moment of hesitation, and right before someone plays the kind of the guillotine noise to freak Tom out, he like kind of, without looking, reaches to shut the Bluetooth speaker off, which is right near Tom's head, near the guillotine, also near the switch to the actual guillotine and like reaches towards it and like bumps the actual lever that's going to release, for whatever reason, a real blade that's in this guillotine that Ichabod's family uses for cutting bread or whatever.
That's how they behead the cattle.
There you go.
Their steak farmer family.
Perfect. The richest cattle farm in the country.
They have, this is the guillotine
they have to do it.
Murdered so much of the French Revolution anti-heroes. So
right.
They bought that when they were in France
exactly.
a couple of years ago.
Well, a couple cool
I I don't think Bod has any remorse. I think he's like, he's
into it.
He's got it. He's gonna play the sound and make him poop himself, but he also comes in with this like very like chief character of the world speech, where it's like, your mom doesn't support you, you can't support yourself, you're a waste in our school, you're not a stallion, you're bringing us down.
There you go.
We don't care about your science, okay? We're a basketball school, we're a basketball team, and you don't belong here. And he starts getting into it and stuff, and I think
this is way better.
Maybe, and he's like, and that's why you're gonna end up headless like all of my cows. And he pushes the button, plays the sound. Tom freaks out.
Oh yeah.
And maybe in that freak out, maybe it's Tom, maybe it's the Bod, but he like, and the noise scares literally scares the shit out of him. And then it kind of goes black and you hear the sound again, like shriek.
Yep.
And then the movie comes back, of course, and we see Tom's head laying there next to the pumpkin that he loves so much.
100%.
Blood everywhere. It's totally quiet, but you just see all these kids panicking.
Yes.
Cars start rolling out.
Yep.
It's clear to everyone watching this movie, everyone knows like that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah.
We didn't plan on actually murdering Tom.
Yep.
But we didn't want to make a fake guillotine.
Exactly right. This thing's real, right? Oh my god.
I think it's just a total bit of chaos after that. The party, Tom's parents, or no, Ichabod's parents are out of town.
Yeah.
So, most of everybody flees running, which is a bad thing to do because we got to get our story straight here, other than Ichabod's a murderer now.
Right.
So Ichabod grabs like the basketball team and he's like, you stay with me. We're going to clean this up. We're going to put his body down underneath here and kind of bury it and get rid of the fucking pumpkin, take him in the body, put him in the river, get him out of here and clean this up. And he's like bossing everyone around.
Okay.
And I think that's what would happen at this party. Ichabod doesn't want to be a murderer. He doesn't want to ruin his basketball career. Yeah. So we need to make this go away.
Oh yeah.
And you kind of see that happening, but it's not the story of Ichabod. So help me here now that I'm running out of steam. What happens?
So I think Ichabod could do that, get rid of the body, or maybe like to kind of build into his kind of crappy character, just grabs the basketball team and it's like, don't you freak out. My dad always said, if this happened, I got to call this number.
Nice.
This guy will take care of it. Like, he knows my future's too important for some dumb kid ruin it. It was only a matter of time before we ran someone over with their car. We were drinking or whatever. So we got this is taken care of, guys. And so maybe they just go into the house and leave like Tom's body there, his head right next to the pumpkin, just sitting on the guillotine while he calls his fixer that his dad let him know about, and everyone's freaking out. The basketball team's freaking out. Everyone else is left, as you said. But I think that can kind of give us a fun, creepy movie moment, a couple of them in quick succession, where like as this is happening, and Tom's blood's all over the ground, his head's right next to the pumpkin. Maybe we just see like the pumpkin start to wiggle and come back together, and some of Tom's blood mix in with the pumpkin, and like the pumpkins start to like come back together and like roll towards where Tom's head used to be on his body in this guillotine. And like, we could do this in a creepy way or a funny way where like you see they're inside the house with Ichabod and the basketball players and he's on the phone like, no, Dad, you said to call, whatever, he died. Can you just get the guy over here? Like, I want to go keep drinking in the woods.
I don't care what time ran away. In Greece right now.
Right. Just call whoever. his blanket on my jacket, right? Like he's totally my Letterman
Yes.
jacket. We have the homecoming next week. I gotta get this thing dry cleaned now. I got bigger problems. But as that's happening, we see like just Tom's body with a pumpkin head like stand straight up where the guillotine was, and
Like through the window.
right? Exactly, through the window, and to kind of like look around with his now non-existent eyes, and kind of like sprint off into the woods.
Ooh, no.
Okay.
Exactly what you're saying. As Ichabod's on the phone with his dad, and then you see Tom with like a stick or like something kind of sharp,
Yeah.
maybe a pencil or something nerdy.
Yeah.
And you just see him start stabbing stabbing eye holes
Right.
into the pumpkin through the window as you're watching Ichabod freak out.
Right, exactly. And so I think, that starts happening, and Tom kind of runs off screen. Because I think with one of the fun parts of this movie that we're gonna introduce right now that didn't really come up in the Fast Five, but it seems perfect for it, is like maybe so Tom's just died. He's also been drugged. He's had a hell of a night. Now all of a sudden he's kind of like alive again. Like this pumpkin connected with Tom's body. And I think what that experience should basically be is like Tom's inner voice, whatever, is like still conscious. We don't have to talk about how this actually works, obviously, and what's really happening. But what you get is like Tom's essence, his voice inside this pumpkin. But the pumpkin, surprise, is also like alive. Like he didn't really create like a regenerative serum. He almost made like some kind of sentient, turn a vegetable into a conscious life form serum. Like it's more than just grow a limb back. It's like he's figured out
Created a neural network.
Right, exactly.
In a vegetable.
But what I want to happen is like we have the voice of Pumpkinhead inside Tom's head and Tom, and they're both kind of competing for Tom's body right now to go do whatever the hell they want to do. And that Pumpkinhead voice, we get to have some fun now. It gets to show up with its own demands of, so, how should it sound, John?
Damn it.
What's this pumpkin sound like when Tom wakes up in a panic of, oh my God, why can't I see? He's met with a voice that sounds like the Pumpkinhead.
In the film, for me right now, this is cinematic and I love it. You see Ichabod on the phone with his dad.
Yep.
Tom wake up, Pumpkinhead start stabbing it, and then the camera goes in a long shot all the way out to where you're like watching Tom now, not through the window, but you're right there, and you hear a voice that sounds like well, I said you need to get some eyes so we can see. It's like Pumpkin Foghorn Leghorn.
Yes, exactly right. Pumpkinhead.
Yes.
I love that. I'll say again.
Yes.
Tom, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Don't let them boys. I don't know. That was a little Randy Savage.
That's okay. That's all right. We need a little bit of Randy tonight, I think, to get deliver the karma that Tom needs to deliver. But so that's happening. This voice is inside Tom's head. Tom's having a freak out, existential crisis kind of moment, but also doesn't really have time for that. He's got to get the hell out of here. He's a mutant pumpkin human now. He can't just be standing in a field. He's got to get into the woods. And so that's maybe a little bit what the voice serves, is like lots of wisdom. The Pumpkinhead has it. And he can maybe, been 200 years since I was out here. What's changed? Seems like a lot, but maybe not so much at the same time. He's going to turn to Gator very quickly.
He's a little Southern Gothic and a lot of other things that live in my brain all the time.
We'll see what happens.
But I like, I love the idea that it ends up not just being Tom as Pumpkinhead, but there's like a dichotomy now that's happening.
Yes.
Where Tom is like, what the F? And Pumpkinhead, I love your, like
I'm back,
you said,
baby.
it's been 200 years. So I like that it's almost a tie-in to like the previous events of what is a more well-known Sleepy Hollow sort of story.
That's right.
Where now this pumpkin is, sure, maybe somehow the spirit and Tom's serum, who cares?
Right.
It's reanimated. It's a reanimated pumpkin. It's a quick Hollywood pumpkin themed movie, so you're not going to question the science.
Yeah. Don't need to worry about that.
And so then we go into, I think we leave Ichabod behind.
Yeah.
I think at some point maybe there's a story where the cleaner friend is like, all I found was a head. What'd you do with the body?
100%. Yes, exactly. That'll happen soon, I think, and that'll kind of lead Ichabod to be like, "What the hell? I gotta find where this body went and finish the job or whatever." The pumpkin's gone too, Ichabod. So that could happen in a minute, but I think we get a fun back and forth of Tom and Pumpkinhead kind of running through the woods, and Tom's like, "I can't see." Well, let me fix that. And then Pumpkinhead like ignites a flaming eyes. Then the eyes are on fire and his mouth's on fire that Tom just carved into this pumpkin. And Tom's like, "Oh, I can see like better I've ever seen in my life." Yeah, that's the benefit of being supernatural.
Yeah. I said the serum's working. The cream rises to the top.
Oh man. Yes. And so Tom's like, "This is ridiculous. Who are you? What am I?" Like, no time for that. We'll figure that out later.
I am vengeance. I am
Right.
I'm Halloween vengeance,
Right.
and we're about to go vengify those that wronged you. I think the
Right.
pumpkin's like
Yeah.
the pumpkin is Tom, whatever Tom wasn't, right? Like
Okay, sure.
he's loud, he's vengeance, he's strong, he's confident.
Right. And this is a little bit like kind of The Mask with Jim Carrey meets Venom meets also like Aladdin almost. Like the Tom
Yes.
created, like gave this pumpkin life, this pumpkin head ghost thing life again. So he's kind of like, "I'm here for you, Tom. Like whatever I say again, whatever you need." The pumpkin head can do it indeed. I don't know why he rhymes.
Oh, I would love if we had enough time to make everything he said like a poetic.
We'll see how many we can sneak out, but yeah, so right, so they have a little conference internally in the woods as he's kind of running, hiding as a flaming pumpkin head now, which is kind of hard to hide from Ichabod, who's been hiding in the house again, waiting for this fixture to show up, but now maybe peeked outside and it's like, "My God, the body's gone. Well, I got to get the body before the fixture gets here, otherwise I look like the dumbest dummy ever. Like all there is a head. This is a problem. We probably need to fix it, or my dad's gonna slap me into next week when he gets back from his yacht trip in Greece."
And we got school tomorrow.
Right, exactly.
Maybe one of the other kids came back and took the body. I
Whatever
think
it is.
to your earlier point, Ichabod doesn't care. He lives sort of a bespoke
Right,
life
right.
where someone else probably already took care of it. Cool. Hey, stallions,
Right.
we're gonna show up to school tomorrow just like nothing happened. Tom came to the party and then he left the party and no one saw it. And if anyone says anything, I'll call my dad's friend again and I'll come for you.
All right, cool. And so, right, and maybe Tom overhears that a little bit and it's like shocked, like, "My God, so I'm dead, Pumpkinhead?" Well, let's not get caught up in the details. Let's focus on the killing.
Yeah. I mean, your head's back there.
You're right. Yeah, you see what I'm seeing, right? My God, that is my head.
And I'll tell you why you're dead.
Right.
Because you chose the wrong friends, the evil friends, the bully friends.
Yes.
And we got to pay them a little thing called justice now.
It's going to be ready. Macho Man.
It is what it's a Pumpkinhead, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Maybe he's inspired by Foghorn Leghorn. Sometimes maybe he's inspired by.
He's seen a
Macho
lot.
Man.
He's a 200-year-old ghost he's seen it all.
I'm not talking like this.
We'll save that for the final scene. Oh my gosh, I love it. And so the Pumpkin's head plan is pretty clear. Like, vengeance is mine. I'm here for blood. Let's go kill all the people that wronged you, Tom, and basically contributed to ending your life tonight. Well, Tom is like, "Nah, like I want to go home. I gotta tell my mom." And basically the pumpkin has to convince him, like, the old world you wanted is gone. Been gone for a long time. I think you knew that. I think no science gonna bring it back. Now you look to the future. Future's covered in blood. Vengeful, delicious blood. Tom's like, "This is a lot for me to handle. I can't fight these guys. They play basketball." And he's like, wait a second. "Do something for me right now, Tom. Jump." And Tom's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Jump. Trust me. Just jump as hard as you can." And Tom like jumps and discovers he has supernatural Pumpkinhead strength now. Can like leap over a tree.
Your serum
like,
worked.
Exactly right. You're stronger than ever. I'm stronger than ever. Together we can do anything.
And I think that's a good way for the pumpkin head to sell Tom, kind of pandering to him. Like,
Right.
you created me, your serum worked, they killed you. Now we get vengeance, and I'm here to make sure you get what they get what they deserve. I'm gonna help you. I'm the righteous hand of your vengeance right now.
Exactly.
Head
Yes.
of your vengeance
Yes.
right now. You're the hand.
You're the hand
and
still,
all of the
and the
rest of it,
legs,
but-
and right. You probably need to change your pants because holy crow, something smells like last week's stew.
Take all your pants off.
We don't need them no more.
Let's really give him a scare. Put your pants back on. That's not gonna scare him. Yeah. Didn't know you were Jewish.
I guess I should have. All right, so okay, so this is great, and then and maybe maybe Tom's still a little hesitant because it's a big jump to go from I've never killed anyone to now I'm gonna go chasing people around town and murdering them, but maybe they follow like the bod and the basketball guys to see like where they go to, and they're just doing like donuts in a parking lot and like being bullies. So like some kid who walked out of the Dairy Queen with an ice cream, throws it on the ground, pushes them in the trash can, high fives each other. And Pumpkin's like, this is the kind of people that the plan don't need. Like, we got to get them good. Only you can do it. Only you can stop him, Tom. This is your destiny.
And I think we need Tom to be bought in. So
Yes.
throughout like a couple of demonstrations of Pumpkinhead pandering to him and seeing the Ichabod has just moved on to new Toms now.
Right.
There's got to be like a transformation in Tom's character where he kind of becomes the reckoning.
Yeah, and maybe it could be as I say simple, but it could be something as direct as like, okay, the bod's pushing all these kids down and being a jerk. Maybe one of the bod's friends is kind of freaking out a bit, and he goes up about the dead body that he just left behind, and the bod goes up to him and goes, listen, you would know, and I know, it's not the first time something like this has happened. And every other time it has, they just go away. And so Tom's like, oh my God, like I'm not even the first. What is this kid? This kid is just a mess. He's only 17 and he's killed multiple people by accident. Like this guy has got horrible luck. He didn't have money. He'd be
Kinda
dead a
glad
long
I
time
was
ago.
poor.
Right. Exactly. Right. So maybe we learn that as an audience of like, this bod character is real bad news, not just high school bad news, but like if this guy gets out into the world and out, can do whatever he wants. He's going to be the Patrick Bateman of, whatever small town this is. He's got nothing but bad intentions. And so now, right, Tom is like, okay, well, that's probably something I can't ignore. I need to do something about. And Pumpkinhead's just like, now you're getting it. Now you feel, I say, you're feeling it now. Son, let's go together.
So now we get to my favorite part of this movie.
Here we go.
I guess
the fun and
Harrison
games.
likes uplifting stories, and I like vengeance.
No, this is great. I'm getting
Um,
Big Nose vibes, which is just a blast and a half of a movie. So let's see what Pumpkinhead and Tom do right
so
now.
I think the first act
Yes.
of vengeance we'll see from Pumpkinhead Tom is it's going to be in the chemistry lab,
Okay.
because it wasn't just Tom there. There was classes held and
Yep.
everybody was there.
Yep.
And we go back into the chemistry lab in the camera and we see the kid that offered him the punch.
Yes.
He's in there, and maybe a couple of the other guys that were at the party were in there. And the class lets out, but he's like, hey, hold on. And maybe even here is where we get another like, hey, is everybody on the same page about, what happened? Yep, nothing happened. Everything's fine. There's going to be another homecoming's coming up, like business as usual. And then all of a sudden the chemistry lab door
Yep.
slams shut.
Yep.
The lights kind of dim for a minute. The beakers in here start bubbling and even crack, and some of the liquid spills out.
Yes.
And you smell like pumpkin pie very quickly. You guys smell, is that pumpkin pie in these
Right,
beakers? What
right.
even is in those beakers?
Right.
Then it turns to this kind of like noxious smell where it starts bubbling through, and through supernatural powers, boom, you see Pumpkinhead Tom appear
Yes.
in this classroom, and he gives a speech kind of like, I'm going to give you the same sort of gift that you've given me.
Yep.
can you help me understand what it would sound like if
Right.
Pumpkinhead?
I say,
Yeah.
today is the last day. Right.
Beautiful.
And then, yeah, I don't know if I can rhyme anything else, but he, I'll get it. Yeah, something like that. And then, I don't know.
I'll let you come up with the end
yeah.
line, and I'll go on a little bit. Well, the kids are locked in the chemistry lab. Things are bubbling up. Tom concocts another serum, and it starts bubbling. The gases are working their magic on these kids, and you see their heads start to shift and contort
okay.
into pumpkins.
Okay.
But
Yes.
they're not equipped like Tom's body was.
Actually, yes.
And they turn into pumpkin heads, and
Right.
maybe Pumpkin heads even like,
Yep, exactly right. Look
You
pretty
can't-
good. Looking better than you ever looked before in your life right now.
start wilting
Too bad it
down
won't
immediately.
last.
Exactly. And then just kind of like their bodies can't take it. It's too much. The
Right, they
serum
start
was
screaming, right?
tweaked, and
Yes.
they melt into this horrible agony.
Yep.
And this is the prank one revenge.
Right. Exactly. The Pumpkinhead just like, ha ha ha. And Tom's like, holy crap. What did we just melt those people? Yeah, it was pretty cool, wasn't it? That was Beetlejuice. I guess. I don't know. I don't feel too bad about it. I thought it'd be nauseous. You're dead. No time for nausea. Time for killing.
Got another one lined up for you, actually, right after school.
Exactly right.
So, and I think the immediate, like the next thing, you might get a little bit of like, oh my God, the school has to clean this up. We can't have a missing kid and
Yeah.
melty, pumpkin-y dead kids in our chemistry lab.
Right.
What happened here? No time to really focus on that, because we're
Yeah.
immediately drawn into our next batch of revenge,
Yes.
where we see Pumpkinhead going out to maybe it's like the woods outside the school where the bad kids smoke.
Yeah.
And
Perfect.
and we see the girl that invited him to the
Yep.
party here, and she's out there smoking. And then all of a sudden, you hear the vines moving. You know what that sounds
Yes.
like in a movie. And they kind of start to wrap around her foot as she's smoking. She like flicks her hand down, like
Yep.
there's a spider on her leg or something.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, she's kind of like locked up, taut. And exactly, yes, you hear Pumpkinhead's,
I'll say.
oh my God, what's going on? What's going on? Someone help me. And the vines are crawling around, locking her up. What is this? What is this?
Right.
Vines?
Ooh, you're a special kind of bad.
Yeah. That's a different movie.
Right, but she betrayed. She's a traitor. She's the bottom ring of hell.
You're the worst kind of evil.
That's it.
Like
Yep.
Queen Elizabeth. I mean, like not like Queen Elizabeth, but like a traitor.
Yep. And she's starts to scream. The vine goes around her mouth and her head, and I love this. Does he tie her like a car to a tree? Just takes her to the woods with the vine, to the ground.
I think he pulls her into the ground. Maybe she's like, no, I like she gets absorbed into the ground, and you just see like half of a cigarette
Right.
left.
And does he go, here, take this with you, and just throws up a bunch of pumpkin guts into her?
Yeah.
So that she can become a pumpkin field.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. After she gets pulled in, maybe take this with you. I love that. And then like almost in a quick cut, then you kind of pan back to this where she was pulled underground. There's like 3 or 4 pumpkins already growing there.
Yes.
It wasn't there before.
Exactly. She's already gone. The evidence has already disappeared, swallowed by the pumpkin field.
And so now we've gotten some good revenge so far. We've
Right.
eliminated the kids that drugged him, and maybe even the one that pulled his costume off was in the chemistry lab too.
that's
We got
good.
rid of the girl. We
good.
dispatched her. How is Tom feeling after
Right.
this?
Maybe he's kind of like, wow, that was wild. How'd you make those pumpkins grow so fast? He's like, yeah, a lot of weird questions, kid. We just murdered a bunch of people. Don't you get it? You're magic. Everything's magic. You got supernatural powers. Don't worry about the house. Let's get back to the death.
perfect timing, because then you hear like boom, boom,
Right,
boom, boom,
right.
boom, and we know that's the bod on his
bod.
motorcycle leaving school 20
Of
minutes,
course.
30 minutes early.
Right. And that's it, right? Like maybe they were kind of making their way towards the bod, but the bod has bounced, and so now they've got to kind of catch up with him.
And how are you going to catch up with a motorcycle badass little kid
Right.
if you go to a private school that's mascot is the Stallions?
I was gonna say, right, maybe Tom is like, oh my gosh, he's getting away. Can we jump after him? And Pumpkinhead's like, I've got a better idea. And he's staring at the stallion statue out front of the school, this giant kind of black stainless steel looking monster of a horse. And they just walk up to it and do some Pumpkinhead magic. I don't know what that looks like. Does he throw up pumpkin guts on the horse? Does
Definitely.
he just right? And the horse
Those
becomes
pumpkin guts are pretty cool.
They do a lot.
A horse is a horse, of course, unless it's a stallion.
And then, and lightning shoots out of its eyes and its face, and it becomes animated and jumps off kind of the little pedestal it was on as a statue. And now they have a sick lightning fueled stainless steel horse that they get to use to chase down the bod on his motorcycle.
Which is probably gonna be the last big scene of the movie, and it won't be maybe as fast as I make it out to be, but we're chasing down the bod, we're going through town, we start to see him in our sights, the horse is galloping,
Yes.
no, that's Santa Claus. The pumpkins echoing his kind of his evil is sinister laugh.
Yeah, there we go.
And we start to get and the bod's he's got a motorcycle. He's always kind of one step ahead, not through planning or preparation, just through gifts,
money, right? Exactly. Things
so
he didn't earn.
Maybe that's it too. Like maybe he starts like throwing quarters out of his pocket, trying. So that's exactly what Pumpkinhead does. He starts laughing at him as he's gaining on him. You can see like the horse's breath, almost match cut with the exhaust of the motorcycle is like gaining on him. And I think I want Tom to be the one that dispatches Ichabod, and he's got what kind of like magic weapon power is he can get from the pumpkin.
Right. I want this to be as put a nice bow on this. I mean, so the bod decapitated Tom, obviously starting this cascade of these events. So it feels only right that he should lose. The bod to lose his head as well. Does he do that by just like Tom pulling out the knife he's used again and again to carve the pumpkin or to cut the pumpkin up in the lab? Maybe that's not fun enough. I was thinking like maybe what they do is it's a bit of a chase, obviously, and maybe they like the bod gets one over on him and kind of corners him at the end of like a drawbridge and is like, you guys are screwed now. Like the cops are on the way. There's only one way out of here, and that's over this bridge. And I'm gonna kick the bridge up and jump it on my bike and see you guys never, because you're going to jail or whatever. He thinks he has them cornered, and so his plan is to like hit the drawbridge, have it go up, ride up it on its motorcycle, and jump over the bridge. And maybe like as he's kind of revving his engine to go, and it's gonna go make that jump, the Pumpkinhead just like not so fast and like slams his huge pumpkin foot on the bridge, does something to like basically lower it at the perfect time where he jumps off his motorcycle and just like decapitates himself on the other side of the bridge. The bod does.
Yes. I like that it's sort of self-inflicted of.
Right. And you can get it just like an accident.
But before that happens.
Okay.
During the chase, I want maybe in the pumpkin's voice, as he's chasing, you can see the bod kind of nervous for the first time in this film, and the pumpkin just kind of like hauntingly whispers at him like,
I'm gonna kill you, boys.
and then you see, and the reason I'm doing this is because I want you to see the Ichabod shit himself on his motorcycle. And Ichabod's like,
Love
I'm
it.
getting out of here. I know that I'm going to use the drawbridge, and there's no like slowdown or anything because
Right.
it's a fast chase.
Right.
And as he hits the bridge,
he could. Well, I was gonna say the pumpkin head could just throw up more pumpkin guts, and it hits his tire, and he hydroplanes.
yes,
spinning into the side of the
but
bridge.
Tom prompts it. Tom's
Okay,
like,
yeah.
do the pumpkin
Do it
guts.
now.
I'll take
Right,
Tom,
right. There we
Tom's now
go.
taking ownership of his
Yes.
vengeance journey, and it's
Yes.
not the pumpkin leading this kill.
I love that. Perfect. So right, Tom is in the final driver's seat. Tom makes the call. Maybe he doesn't even realize it. The pumpkin head's like, that was a good idea with the throw up. Thanks, kid. It's like, oh my God, that's right. I did that.
You suck at basketball.
Right. As he's there with no
the voice
head.
of Tom coming through
Exactly.
the pumpkin.
Like a whisper in the
Where
wind.
the pumpkin's
Right,
now like,
exact-
what the?
Right.
What?
Let me do the talking. That's fine if you have ideas, but anything goes out of the mouth, let's agree on that. I got an image to uphold here. I'm a flaming pumpkin head. And yeah, so cool. Like Ichabod's decapitated in what looks like just some kind of vehicular accidental. The pumpkin guts on the bridge maybe raise some eyebrows, but they just chalk it up to, oh, it is Halloween. Someone dropped a pumpkin out of a truck, and your son was unlucky, sir. And now he's swimming with the fishes.
And I think in wrapping, so we made villains of the villains, and then
Yes.
we made a murderer of the
The nice
of
lab
the
kid.
good old nerd kid that would have saved the world or
Oh.
humanity. But I think rightfully so. And I in wrapping, here's my version.
Yep.
So after that happens, you get a totally new scene in the same town. There's a statue of
Okay.
a horse. We see the familiar horse, only this time it has a rider and it has a pumpkin head on it.
Yes.
And it's like it's a fall again, and maybe it's like a tour, a tour happening, and the tour guide's like, oh yeah, that's the town, like kind of like the town mascot. You know, there's like we're like near where Sleepy Hollow used to be, so
Right.
it's like. But honestly, the running gag is that Halloween's actually really peaceful here because that statue protects
Right.
kids from being bullied, especially on Halloween. Like there
Yeah.
hasn't been any sort of house toilet papering ever
Right.
since.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Right.
Like he almost alludes to the Ichabod incident, but it just
Yes.
kind of glazes over it.
I like that. I love that. The kind of, this lore. If you're a kid in this town, you grow up learning about three things: the Tooth Fairy, Santa Claus, and Pumpkinhead. And if
That's good.
right, if you don't behave or lose your teeth, there'll be some comeuppance for you. And we're all the better town for it. So, hope you consider buying your next home here or whatever. Yeah, right. Some fun tour. And that's kind of how it ends. And maybe like there's a family on the tour with a young kid who like is looking towards a local park, local playground, and does see like two kind of bigger kids, get next to on a seesaw next to a smaller one, kind of maybe looking like they're about to push them around a little bit. And then the kid in the tour kind of looks past the bully incident in the park, the nearby alley, and just sees like the flaming pumpkin head eyes in the alley. It's like, what was that? And just sees, and the two kids scream out of the park, running away as the last kid is there to play on the seesaw by himself. And when he looks back to the alley, there's just nothing there but the wind.
I'll tell you what I'm going to regret already in next week's Fast Five is
Yeah.
we didn't give Pumpkinhead a catchphrase.
I was
That would
thinking
have been
about
the
that
perfect, like, you're going to poop your pants. I don't know what he's going to say,
Right.
but I
Eat my pumpkin guts, you silly fucks. Whispered into the wind.
Yeah, never mind. I think we just did. I think we just found it.
And don't mess with Pumpkinhead. But I like that. But kind of Tom and Pumpkinhead just go on to, who knows, don't need to answer it, but their presence and those acts that day on that fateful Halloween has made the town a better place for all the future Toms and made sure all the Bods stay in their place. Stay on the basketball court, you nerd.
Yes. Because Hollywood lives in a world where we're allowed to have some sort of weird protector.
That's right.
Yeah,
Not a Batman, but definitely somebody you want to mess with.
I mean, really kind of like Batman, though.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize how close that was.
The voice almost as well.
Gordon.
I'm Pumpkinhead.
Rachel. Pumpkin guts.
Oh God. Okay, so that was actually a lot of fun. Probably everyone that's watched this podcast has at one point drank Shipyard's Pumpkinhead. It's a classic beer. It was nice to bring on something so well known and do something so absurd to it. Sorry, Tom, but
Well, but also congratulations, Tom.
true. You are the protector of Terry Tom.
That's right. The one who throw ups in the dark, the pumpkin gut man. Mr. Pumpkinhead. So, yeah, you're a legend, a local legend, piece of folklore that would make Mothman and the Yeti poop their pants if they wore any, which they don't, as we all know. But that was good. That was fun. That was great to have a vengeful kind of creature of the night taking all the bullies out to the garbage patch. So we did that, and then some. We didn't, yeah, sure. And we don't need to do this. Is it worth tying up like the mom and the leg and the happy life she lives? We don't need to do that.
Nah, you make that what you want.
Okay, good. I think,
I mean, her son's dead,
yeah,
but
right.
and she never got to grow her leg back. But so it's not about her. It's
Right.
not her story.
Sure. But a mysterious pumpkin pie may end up on her windowsill every Halloween night that slowly regenerates the leg. It doesn't matter. We don't need to do that. The pumpkin pie brings her back to life.
All right, you tell us what happened to Tom's mom.
That's right.
We'll see you in 7 days.
Yeah. So until then,
Peace.
Punch.
And eat my pumpkin guts, you f***s.